1K. Today we invite Mr. Shrikant Argade, who completed his bachelor's degree in civil engineering at MIT Gwalior in 1983 and his master's in technology at IIT Bombay in 1985. He joined the Municipal Commission of Greater Mumbai in 1985 and retired as Deputy Municipal Commissioner of Special Engineering in 2019. He handled the administration of hydraulic engineering and water supply project departments as well as the Deputy Municipal Commissioner had the overall responsibility of the water supply system from the source to consumer for all of Mumbai and as hydraulic engineer. He was the convener for the expert committee to delegate the issue of inequitable water supply and the way forward towards continuous water supply in Mumbai. He initiated and implemented the water distribution management improvement program, which includes GIS management of the water utility, hydraulic water, equitable water distribution, etc. He did long-term water supply planning for Mumbai, which includes source identification, conveyance, treatment, and distribution of water. He did the long-term supply planning for Mumbai, which includes source identification, treatment, and distribution of water. He prepared and publicized a white paper on water supply in municipal Mumbai in 2010 and prepared the water supply master plan for Mumbai City, 1999 to 2021, and facilitated the deliberation of issues of consumer meters and drafted consumer meter policy. He is presently engaged by CIDCO as the water supply manager and empaneled by the LVPT as the domain expert. The NCRCR in the CTRIC municipal training facilities also invite him as part of the guest faculty in the various training programs. Thank you. I now hand the mic to Mr. Argade.
Thanks for the introduction. Of course, as the introduction goes longer, more pressure on the speaker. Anyway, greetings on the Environment Day to all of you. Today we'll have a small talk on the water supply and sewage projects in the Mumbai city. And actually, I got some 40-50 minutes. I was told that I will try to go as fast as possible and things I will try not to drift into more in the hydraulics part of it because we will be difficult to cover in this small shorter period. So welcome to this session. As we know that water is the most precious commodity, and but is also 2/3 of the water's Earth's surface is covered with the water supply in the ocean, in the form of oceans, and it is practically not directly useful for the potable purpose or any other useful purpose. And remaining 2.5% is locked in the ice holes in the glaciers at the poles. So only 0.3% and 0.3% is of it is in the deep aquifers, deep underground. So it is not accessible easily also. So only 0.2% of the total surface water is readily available for the consumption. And again, this water is constant right from the day the earth is life on the earth started, because there is water is not increasing in quantum, so its importance is that way it is important to conserve and preserve this precious life-saving commodity. And one statistic said that from 1980 to 2005, in 25 years, water demand all over the world increased by 2 times. So if every 25 years, if water demand is increasing or getting doubled, then we have to be very cautious about this its conservation. As we know that all the ancient civilizations occur along the rivers or the any close to the water bodies. And as far as pipeline distribution is concerned, earlier their wooden pipes used to be used in the 16th century, and in 19th century the cast iron pipes were first time introduced in the conveyance of the water. Oldest pipe water supply system developed in London, Paris in somewhere in 17th century, and in Mumbai it all started in the mid of 19th century, somewhere in 1845 or so. So in the first Mumbai, people were dependent upon it was, as you know, it's a cluster of islands, and people were dependent on the local wells and tanks for the water supply. And it was as the population increased in the period of time, with the growth in population, the local sources become inadequate, and quest for the water supply started in 1845 with the deep hinterlands. So long distance conveyance and bringing water from the mainland was the main characteristic of the water supply since 1845 itself. So first source developed was 1860. It was a Bihar scheme. It was bringing about 110 million liters of water, and this stream is still functional and is supplying water to the area of Kurla and mainly Kurla area. Then Tulsi scheme was developed in 1879, bringing 18 MLD of water, and because of its elevation, I mean it is about 138 meters above the downward datum. So it used to supply water for the RA colony. So RA colony is at so most of this Mumbai is situated 5 to 6 meters above the MSL. So those it is about 28 to 30 meters THD is the general ground level in the Mumbai. So Tulsi is as high as 138 meter THD above the general ground level of Mumbai, considered 30 meters. Similarly, Bihar is also about 80 meters, 82 meters THD. So it is also about 50 meters higher than the general ground level in Mumbai. So today, Mumbai population is about 14 millions and is spread over the area of 439 square kilometers, and we are making total water of 3850 million liters per day. There is small movies on it. Can have some idea of what we are. Yeah.
Teams వచ్చి Two teams.
No, that was from.
I think we're clear. Yeah, sure. Just wanted.
Taking us.
See which one.
First one.
Taking us. Speaking in song.
The speaker, Shrikant. Device setting.
मुंबईचा पाणी पुरवठा.
मुंबई जगातलं एक महान शहर आणि भारताची आर्थिक राजधानी. यामुळे या महान शहराच्या नागरिकांची पाण्याची आवश्यकताही खूप अधिक असणार. मुंबई शहराची सध्याची लोकसंख्या ही 1,34,00,000 अधिक आहे. अशा या शहरातील जनतेला पाणी पुरवठा करायचा म्हणजे दर दिवशी 3,800 दशलक्ष लिटर्स पाणी पुरवठा करावा लागतो. बृहन्मुंबई महानगरपालिकेने हा पाणी पुरवठा करण्याकरिता 50 ते 150 किलोमीटर परिसरात स्वतःची धरणे बांधण्यात आली असून त्याद्वारे मुंबई शहराला अखंडित पाणी पुरवठा होत असतो. मुंबईला पाणी पुरवठा हा 7 तलावांमधून होत असतो. जसे तुळशी विहार हे मुंबई शहरात असून तानसा, मोडकसागर, मध्य वैतरणा, ऊर्ध्व वैतरणा हे मुंबई शहरापासून 70 ते 150 किलोमीटर अंतरावर आहे. त्यापैकीच एक मध्य वैतरणा हे धरण अलीकडेच 2014 मध्ये स्वतः बृहन्मुंबई महानगरपालिकेने बांधले असून त्यातून शहराला प्रतिदिन 455 दशलक्ष लिटर पाणी पुरवठा होतो. हे धरण RCC तंत्रज्ञानाने बांधले असून हे धरण जगातील जलद गतीने बांधलेल्या धरणांमध्ये 9व्या क्रमांकावर आहे. सदर धरणाच्या बुडीत क्षेत्रातील कुण प्रकल्पग्रस्तांचे नवीन वसाहतीमध्ये यशस्वीपणे स्थलांतर व पुनर्वसन केले आहे. तसेच 31 प्रकल्प बाधितांना सुद्धा महापालिकेने नोकरीत सामावून घेतलेले आहे. मध्य वैतरणा प्रकल्पांतर्गत अतिरिक्त पाणी पुरवठा करण्याकरिता सन 2014 मध्ये मोडकसागर येथे यशस्वीरित्या करण्यात आले. अशा प्रकारचे लॅग टॅपिंग करणारी मुंबई महापालिका ही देशातील पहिलीच महानगरपालिका आहे. तानसा हे धरण 1892 मध्ये त्या काळातील भारतातील सर्वात पहिले मातीचे गुरुत्वीय धरण आहे. धरण आणि जलाशयांमधील पाणी हे पावसाळ्यात जमा झालेले असते व उर्वरित काळात मुंबईला पुरविण्याचे नियोजन महापालिकेचा जल अभियंता विभाग 24 तास करीत असतो. दररोज हे पाणी धरणांमधून जलशुद्धीकरण केंद्रापर्यंत आणण्यासाठी विविध आकाराच्या व अंदाजे 120 किलोमीटर अंतराच्या मुख्य जलवाहिन्या आणि 40 किलोमीटर लांबीचे भूमिगत जलबोगदे बांधण्यात आले असून 5.5 मीटरचा जलबोगदा गुंदवली, कापूर बावडी व भांडूप उदंचन संकुल येथे बांधण्यात आला असून या प्रकल्पाला युनेस्को व केंद्र सरकारतर्फे बेस्ट इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर पायोनियर प्रोजेक्ट या गटात सर्वोत्कृष्ट पुरस्कार प्राप्त झालेला आहे. मुख्य जलवाहिन्यांमधून येणाऱ्या पाण्याचा प्रवाह आणि दाब याची नोंद स्काडा प्रणालीद्वारे सॅटेलाइटच्या आयोगातून केली जाते. ही नोंद मुख्य नियंत्रण कक्ष भांडूप संकुल येथे केली जाते. तसेच भांडूप संकुल येथे आशिया खंडातील सर्वात मोठे 365 एकर मध्ये वसलेले जागतिक दर्जाचे जलशुद्धीकरण केंद्र आहे. या जलशुद्धीकरण प्रकल्पात शुद्ध झालेले पाणी वितरणापूर्वी विविध चाचण्या करून तपासले जाते. यासाठी या प्रकल्पात जागतिक दर्जाची मोठी प्रयोगशाळा आहे. सदर शुद्धीकरण केंद्र सन 1980 पासून इरत सुरू आहे. तसेच भांडूप येथील 900 दशलक्ष लिटर क्षमतेच्या जलप्रक्रिया केंद्राला सुद्धा बेस्ट वॉटर ट्रीटमेंट प्रोजेक्ट असा पुरस्कार देण्यात आला असून या केंद्रातून बाहेर टाकल्या जाणाऱ्या पाण्यावर पुनर्प्रक्रिया केली जाते. सध्या दररोज 60 दशलक्ष लिटर पाण्यावर पुनर्प्रक्रिया करून त्याचा वापर पिण्याव्यतिरिक्त इतर कामांसाठी केला जातो. त्याशिवाय बृहन्मुंबई महानगरपालिकेचा जल अभियंता विभाग दररोज पाण्याची पातळी व उर्वरित पाणी क्षमता यांचा अहवालही तयार करीत असतो. पाणी हे जीवन आहे, पण ते स्वच्छ आणि शुद्ध असेल तरच मुंबई सारख्या महानगराच्या जनतेला अशा शुद्ध पाण्याचा साठा दररोज उपलब्ध करून देणे आणि जनतेच्या आरोग्याचं रक्षण करणे हे तर पाण्याचं आणि महानगरपालिकेच्या जल अभियंता विभागाचं मुख्य काम आहे. बृहन्मुंबई महानगरपालिकेचा जल अभियंता विभाग जनतेच्या सेवेत दिवसाचे 24 तास.
So we just have seen that how the water supply is being conveyed to Mumbai. So this Kansa scheme was developed from 1892 to 1948 in phases. Earlier, it was water was conveyed through masonry ducts and in the rich portion and pipelines in the valleys. Then afterwards, both these masonry duct and pipelines were discarded and mild steel pipelines were laid. So these all progressed in the phases, and in 1948 it was completed finally. And total 455 million liters of water is available from Kansa scheme. So in terms of THD, its full supply level is 128 meters THD, and water comes to Mumbai by gravity only. Similarly, from Vaitarna scheme also water comes by gravity only. Its full supply level is 163 meters THD. Then there was Upper Vaitarna and Bhasa. These dams were constructed by the Irrigation Department Government of Maharashtra with a financial contribution from the municipal corporation, and majority of allocations are granted to the municipal corporation from these schemes also. Then Middle Vaitarna was the latest addition into these sources, and it was completed in 2014 with 455 million liters of water. It was a roller compact concrete dam, and it is between the Vaitarna and Vaitarna. It is the center of the both these dams. So in future sources which have been identified are Gargai, it is 440 MLD, Pinja is 865 MLD, and Damanganga 1586 MLD. For the time being, that these gravity sources, which are very much preferable actually, because Gargai source only 2.5 kilometers of tunnel is one dam, and 2.5 kilometer of tunnel is required to connect Gargai with the Vaitarna, and all our infrastructure is ready, so it can be done very fast. But considering the submergence of submergence area, forest submergence, and some rehabilitation, current focus is given on the desalination plant. So some proposed to be constructed somewhere in the Borai Island, Manori Borai Island, and recycling is also at a very large scale. Projects are under progress. About 1,200 million liters of water is expected to be recycled and made available for reuse. Then rainwater harvesting is also made mandatory for the new buildings, and groundwater potential is also very limited in Mumbai actually. So all these alternate sources, desalination, recycling, rainwater and groundwater, they have their own limitations, because desalination is very power intensive source. It requires a lot of power. Then there are environmental issues also there, because it reject whatever because 42 only whatever quantities pumped, only 40% or 30% is reclaimed and rest is reject. So that reject is very saline in nature and it is harmful for the marine life. So its disposal is also an issue. Then again, desalination water will be available at the sea level. So again, pumping it into distribution system, it all involves a lot of cost again. And some intermediate storages and all that will add up into the cost. Similarly, recycling and reuse also again cost incentive because all recycling plants are situated at the sea level only. So it again it has to be pumped into the for distribution. Rainwater harvesting have its own limitations because of the reclaimed land in the Mumbai. So leaching of the rainwater, recharging water penetration of water through the recharging pit and water passes through the reclaimed land and some organic contents and all harmful chemicals. It is possible to deteriorate the groundwater quality also. And one of the studies said that groundwater potential is also in Mumbai very limited because of it is about 150 million liters. So compared to current supply of 3,800 and future requirement about 6,000 million liters by 2041, the groundwater potential is very limited in Mumbai. I will skip this project because yeah, this is the diagram showing the sources with respect to city. So this water from Vaitarna to Middle Vaitarna it travels to the river course. Then again from Middle Vaitarna to Vaitarna also it travels to the river course. Then from Vaitarna onwards there is a closed conduits carrying the water to the treatment plants at Mandu. Similarly, Bhasa water is traveling up to the Pissavier in the river course of 42 kilometers, and then it is lifted and brought to the Pansrapur treatment plant. So this is at a glance. I mean, there are four treatment plants are there. One at Pansrapur treatment plant. It is situated at the Bhiwandi bypass. If you go towards Nashik, you can see the treatment plant at right hand side and master balancing reservoir on the hill at the left hand side. Then Bhandup treatment plant is old one, which was constructed in 1980 was 1910 MLD, and new one is added during the middle Vaitarna 900 MLD. So it is about 2,800 milliliters of treatment plant is at Bhandup complex. Then two small plants at Bihar and Tulsi treats the Bihar and Tulsi water. There are 27 service reservoirs, all situated on the hillocks all over the Mumbai, like Malbar Hill, Bhandarwada Hill, Varli Hill, Pali Hill, then Viravali Hills, Bhandup Hills, Tombe Hills. So all Borivali, Malad, all hillocks, these service reservoirs are situated. And water from this master balancing reservoirs at Bhandup and Yovai conveyed by gravity to all these service reservoirs. And from these service reservoirs, 250 odd water supply zones are fed by gravity. So minimum pumping is involved in all this distribution as far as master balancing reservoirs to service reservoirs is concerned. Water supply norms are as per CPHHU guidelines, 40 LPCD for the villages without sewage facility, then 135 LPCD for the towns, and 150 LPCD for the metros. Mumbai, we supply water at 45 LPCD in slums. Chawls with common toilet facilities 90 LPCD and land development 135 LPCD. Actual consumption actually in fact varies from 100 LPCD to 400 LPCD. These are the just what I told that the master balancing reservoirs, service reservoirs, then there is the feeder and outlet network of 1,000 kilometers, then distribution network of 4,000 kilometers, and service pipes of 1,500 main kilometers for the to consumer, which up to goes up to the consumer end. Then there are quantity which is built is about is 2,500 MLD, in which involves about 400 MLD of unmetered connections in the island city. Then there is industrial commercial consumption of 250 MLD, and rest is about non-revenue water about 28%, 1,100 MLD. And this non-revenue water is not totally all the physical losses, but it also involves the unbilled unmetered consumptions or unbilled metered consumptions, then pilferage, theft, and so that also comes into this non-revenue component. Then there are mechanical meters and slums. There are about 250,000 mechanical non-AMR meters and about 110,000 mechanical AMR and non-AMR meter for the non-slum residential consumers. There are about 100,000 unmetered connections in the island city and 60,000 industrial commercial connections in the city. So there are about total about 4 lakh consumer connections are there. This line diagram of how the water supply flow diagram. The Bhasa source, it is a river course of 45 kilometers to Pise, then it is a pumping station. It lifts the water up to the Pise Pandrapur treatment plant. Then after treatment, it is again lifted to the master balancing reservoir at Yavli. Similarly, there is Tansa, middle Vaisarana, upper Vaisarana water all comes by gravity up to the water treatment works. And then from MBR at Bhandup and Yavai, it goes into the city for the further distribution. Same pictorial diagram is the schematic diagram for the treatment plant, where the water comes into the first into the inlet bay, then it goes into the feed heaters, where it is coagulators are injected into it, and then it is 4 feed heater streams are there, which is whenever the water is settled. Then that clear water comes into the filters. That is a rapid filters are there. Then filter water is transferred into the chlorine contact tank, where it is chlorine is added as it is disinfectant. Then it is pumped into the master balancing reservoir. So this is all the treatment process, right? Typical treatment process at all the treatment plants. This is the picture review of the bird's eye view of the water treatment works. Is the Pandrapur treatment work. Is the master control center at the Bhandup complex, where all the flow pressures and levels are monitored 24 hours on all the service reservoirs as well as lakes. Is the diagram showing the water from master balancing reservoir, how it is distributed into the various service reservoirs. On the upper side, you see the eastern part of the city, where the Trombay, Ghatkopar, and Golanji and Bandara reservoirs are there. On the downside, yeah, they are all the western side of the city. I mean, the Uri, Malad, Virauli, Pali Hill, and in the city it is Worli and Malabar as are shown in the diagram. This is the water quality in the various tests performed as per the IS 10,500 2012, and Mumbai water quality, if you compare with the standards, is very uh, much better than the guidelines prescribed in the IS 10,500. And those who mandates the 1,200 samples per month, one sample per month for 10,000 population. We actually collect about 4,000 samples every month, and out of that, health department collects the samples randomly and independently from the water department, and so there is a third party check is also there on the quality of the water. So about 75 samples collected by the health department, 75 samples collected by the water department, and then both the department collects a sample on the complaint basis also. So there are about 200 samples every day are collected and tested. There are some issues regarding the quality of water because of growing demand, difficulties to develop the new sources. New sources, as I said, that rehabilitation and submergence of the reserve forests and all, that is the environmental issues are there. So it is difficult to develop the new sources every passing year. Then huge product distribution of water, because inequitable distribution issues are there, because there are issues pertaining to the quality of water due to aging network and intermittent water supply. Because of intermittent water supply, there is always a vacuum in the pipeline during the non-supply hours, and external water ingress into the pipelines. And during the supply, that water goes into the consumer tap. So there are contamination issues are there. Then pertaining to the hours of supply, because average earlier the water supply used to be 8 hours, then it was gradually reduced to 4 hours, 3 hours, and now our average water supply is about 2 hours in many areas. So this gradually reducing water supply is one of the major concern for the ideal water supply situation. Then unaccounted of water is also 20 to 30%, which is very high. Then issues regarding network design and operated for different scenarios, because network design is for the 8 hours supply, and it is operated for the 2 hours or 4 hours or 2 hours, and it creates the problems in the distribution management. Then practical limits in the leak control, because conventional methods no longer can be useful, because of the most of the roads are covered with the concrete pavements, and watermen have gone deep into the underground. So the conventional method of listening the leak noise, those are no longer effectively used for the leak control methods. Then there are metering issues. Consumer meters are mostly used mechanical meters, which are not proper function in the intermittent water supply system. Because in intermittent water supply system, there is always air passes through the consumer connection initially when the water supply starts, and these mechanical meters, they get damaged due to this air passage of air to the connection. And there are other issues also there, because some consumer who put the booster pumps because of shortness of water supply, and then booster pumps also suck the water at very high velocity. That also damages the mechanical water meters. So their solution is there to provide ultrasonic or electromagnetic flow meters, water meters also. But those meters are costly, so cannot be segmented for the slums and other poor consumer category. Then issues pertaining to the cost of operation. Yeah, tariff structure is always an issue because our production cost itself is about now around 20 rupees per kilometer. And our minimum tariff for slum is about 4 rupees per kiloliter, and for even land building it is only 5 to 6 rupees per kilometer for the minimum. Though it is telescopic, it increases 2 times, 3 times, 4 times as per the if a consumption increase from 150 LPCD to 200 LPCD, 200 to 250 LPCD. But since the consumer meters percentage of consumer meter, working consumer meter is very low, about 50% consumer meters are in working condition, so that telescopic tariff is also not effective enough to recover the cost. Uh, 24 hours water supply is in many cities, less than water supply available from Mumbai are having 24 hour water supply. For London, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, and Paris, they all have about 150 LPCD and they have 24 hours water supply system. Phnom Penh we can leave because Phnom Penh is a Cambodia, it is a different setup at all because they have increased the cost of water so high that consumers don't use open the tap unless they are really need the water. So they even 45 LPCD also Phnom Penh is on 24 hour water supply system. With this 24 hours water supply needs more water, expensive, necessary, and achievable. Yes, it is. It doesn't need more water actually. It is less expensive because you don't have to store water. Water is available on the tap 24 hours. So 24 hours. It is necessary because of this. It eliminates the many ill issues of the intermittent system, such as contamination and liquidity of supply and all. And it is achievable, but it requires some different type of efforts actually. So we can discuss it after so in detail. And intermittent, in fact, needs more water because consumer throw the stored water, considering it as a stale water. Then it is expensive because it requires storage and pumping arrangement. Then it results in high pumping cost. Then contamination issues are also there. And every day charging pressurizing system and depressurizing system reduces the life of the assets. Pipeline is also life gets less. Mumbai 175 LPCD is water available, excluding all leakage, industrial, commercial consumption also. But we still first struggling with the 2 hours water supply also. So it needs a lot of efforts towards the conversion to 24 hours system. So currently, population is about 14.5 million, 14.5 millions, and its water demand is about 4,615 million liters. Ex-source water supply at present is 4,128 million liters. So there is a deficit about 400 MLD, and which could have been made with the Gargai project. But since Gargai is on back to present, so let's hope that desalination plants, because they are claiming, will comes out earlier and make this deficit good. Here are the distribution issues actually, because sometimes when there is many distribution on the reservoir inlet system also, because network is not developed in certain areas. So water supply is given from the inlet, and that affects the input into the services. Then there are issue of inequitable distribution in the city itself, because cities in the island city, particularly in transition stage, where the chawls are converted into high-rise buildings, and the same pipeline supplying water to the chawls at the third floor and fourth floor to direct supply, and same pipeline is supply if adjoining few chawls are converted into high-rise building and having third basement or second basement, and they have the tank in their basements, and they get the water at a much lower level. So this there is a inequitability in distribution, and obviously that direct supply system of the chawls, they are getting affected because of this transition phase. These are the more of the hydraulics part of it. Actually, I will skip it because as the velocity increases, I mean, the more and more quantity is drawn to the same diameter of the pipeline, how the pressure get reduced from 67 pounds per square pounds pressure, it reduces to 15 pound pressure as the velocity increases with the increase in the quantity drawn from the same pipeline. This is also again a network issue, because network we design for the certain fixed demand at the each node. I mean, we presume that the consumer is drawing at a constant rate on a fixed quantity, and this is not a practical. Practically, consumer draws as much quantity as he desire as long as water is available, and this creates the imbalance in the networks. So these are the network design or issues pertaining to network design. Intermittent water supply system, there are some disadvantages, like the pressures to be kept very high, because you have to fulfill the requirement in a short period of time. Then initial consumer, they always draw the more quantity than the it is presumed to be drawn by them. Then second consumer and high elevation consumer, they are always at the suffering end. Then high peak requires continuous strengthening of the network, and this random strengthening of network draws us into a vicious cycle of laying more and more water mains and strengthening the network, and thus the network becomes oversized and it further reduces the supply hours. So this has become a vicious cycle. There, as I said, that curtailed water supply requires additional water mains, and redundant additional network length increases the leakage losses. Then the low pressure and supply, small supply duration makes the leak detection process also very difficult. So this vicious equilibrium is developed into the network. Then there are one more altogether different is the aspect is the slums. Development controls, as you are all architects, so you're aware of that, the development control rules doesn't take into account the large and affordable housing need for the lower income groups. Now recently that it's all SRA and all started, but there was no there was a reason why the slums developed actually, because there was no affordable housing for the lower income groups. Then Mumbai attracted a lot of migration right after the post independence, and there is better employment opportunities available, cheaper transport was available, and since property rates were exorbitant, so these are all slums developed. 90% stay in Pakka houses, 6% stays in Pakka houses, and 4% stay in actual apartments. Some population, as per the estimate, is about 45%. So 65 lakh people are staying in the slums, and they consume 28% is the water supply to slum is about 20% water is consumed by the slums. So total revenue which is available from corporation in the form of water and sewerage charges is about 600 crores, and out of that is about 100 crores is charged towards to the slums. And out of these 100 crores, we recover only 50 crores. So 50% of the slums are slum consumers are defaulters. The average per capita consumption in slum is about 100 LPCD. These are red dots, they are indicating the slum pockets in the entire Mumbai. This is the situation in the slums because no proper passages are there. See, these are the how the bunch of connections goes into the slum passages. These are slum bunch of connections passing through the drains. These are the slum passage, bunch of connections passing very close to the sanitation block. So, as the Act doesn't recognize the slums, and there was no provision in the MMC Act for the water supply to the slums also. So, under Section 92 of MMC Act, Municipal Commissioner is empowered to sell the non-movable properties of a corporation. And under this Act, now water is considered as non-movable property and is sold to the slums under Section 92. So that way, the water supply is made available to the slums. Main distribution problem is mixed locality, slums without sewage, slum, non-slum. Yeah, so distribution constraints are there because slums locality is always mixed up with them, surrounded by the plant buildings. So plant buildings always have underground slums. So the pressure requirement of both the categories, which have direct water supply and those who have the underground slums, is different. Iron City has illegal distribution because of slums in the basements, underground tanks adjoining to adjoining consumers in chawls are drawing water at the fourth floor. So there is a inequitability in distribution. To higher elevations and lower elevations, then consumers at entry of the zone are drawing water at higher pressure than those situated at the back end of the zone. Slums drawing in the water with direct taps in house. Because slum, there is a policy to grant a water connection in the general washing place. So in general washing place, they are supposed to collect the water because the connections are granted to the group of apartments. But what happens that in practice, actually, they extend the taps inside their rooms. So everybody draws the water at the same time. And this creates a very high peak in the small connection pipe. And it reduces the pressure. Then it started other things like putting the booster pumps on the connection, sucking water. So all those non not so good practices started. In distributing the booster pumps, then one more ill practices. I mean, granting of additional connections and enlargement. I mean, those consumers who are having suffers a little bit or uses a little bit less water, they were advised to get the additional connection or enlargement of the water connection. And this starts this one building in a lane. If they go for this enlargement or additional connection, the other adjoining building, they suffer even more. So they also going for the same process. In the process, the entire lane gets the additional connection and enlargement connection. Then that distribution veil itself gets inadequate for that drop. So that also get enlarged. So this way we go on increasing the network and upsizing the network. And in this process, the supply was go on reducing, and this complete cycle goes on repeating. see, these service connections are in such a bad condition. Okay. So, okay. So as we said, it in slums, we provide the water supply for the minimum of 5 families and provide them water at in the general washing place only. Total expenditure ranges from 25,000 to 50,000 depending on the length and size of connection. Road permit charges are very high, and plumber or middleman charges are reasonably high. So there is a need to reform this entire procedure of renting water connection in the slums. Equitability we have already discussed. So analysis constraints also we discussed. Peak factor also. So one water distribution improvement program was shopped out for the improvement of water supply, which broadly involves the upgradation of the water supply network of the GIS basement, then hydraulic simulation and water supply of water supply zone and the creation of district metering areas, NRW assessment and reduction in water NRW, then setup of leak detection system and develop 24/7 water supply. So those intensives are removed in the water distribution program. GIS maps are being developed. Then hydraulic models are so hydraulic zones are redesigned and hydraulic models, new models are created. Then consumer metering problem is consumer metering is an issue which cannot be resolved easily because in island city the chawls are having unmetered water supply, and this unmetered water supply in chawls cannot be metered because of this typical water connection going to the hospitals, and there is no space to install the meters on those connections. And in slums also there is an issue of providing the better quality meters. Then as long as booster pump menace is not avoided, these velocities which generated by the service connections are detrimental to the meters. So networking modeling issues. This is a standard template of NRW, what we call NRW, authorized consumption and water losses. Authorized consumption is billed authorized consumption, unbilled authorized consumption is the authorized consumption. Out of which whatever is billed, it is revenue water, and whatever is non-billed, it is all non-revenue water, which includes the leakages, the pipeline storages, and the connections, and authorized consumption, unbilled consumption, unbilled meter consumption. From vicious to virtuous soil life cycle, we need higher investments, better and improved service levels, higher willingness to pay, to rationalize the water charges, and higher resources mobilization. So there will be so this is all towards the virtuous cycle. Master plan we have prepared for 2021, which included the water population projections, water demand projections, present water supply distribution, future distribution, and 24 hours water supply allocations. This is how we work out the forecast of water demand. So as I said earlier, desalination is having its own issue of space. It requires a lot of area, which is premium in Mumbai. and it requires power, or 25 megawatt of power is required for the 100 MLD of water. Then reject disposal become an issue. O&M is also an issue because operation and maintenance will be continuously operated and maintained for maintaining the water supply and its distribution. Rainwater harvesting, groundwater is also two things limitations are there. Then I will switch over to the sewerage overview of the sewerage scenario. There were 7 sewerage zones identified: Kulaba, Worli, Bandra, Versova, Malad, Bhandup, and Ghatkopar. And second stage was prepared in 2002, covering the upgradation of wastewater treatment facilities and pumping station and construction of sewerage. So these are the 7 sewerage zones, out of which total sewage network is 2,000 kilometers. 48 pumping stations are there. 7 terminal pumping stations at the 7 zones. Treatment and disposal of marine outfalls at Kolaba, Holi, and Bandra. Then there are rest of the places. There were lagoons were there. Versova, Malad, Bhandup, and Ghatkopar. There were lagoons were there at Bhandup. Then there was the government directives to treat the sewage up to the BOD level of less than 10. Total suspended storage less than 20 ppm by MOEF. So there were changes in the norms many times from 2015 to 2018, and 2019 the final orders were issued of maintaining 10, BOD 10, less than 10, and TSS less than 20. So after that, tenders have been invited for the plan design and build the following facilities: pumping and removal, primary and secondary treatment, tertiary treatment of 50% quantity. So these are the norms for the treated sewage. Tertiary parameters. Then these are the currently ongoing works for the wastewater treatment facilities. Worli, out phase 1 500 MLD. So in total 2,600 2,464 million liters of sewage will be treated in phase 2 488, and out of that 1234 MLD tertiary treatment treated sewage will be available after completion of all these works. So 1234 MLD of water which will be available will be after tertiary treatment is as good as at the potable level. So this water is required to be stored, pumped into the and the sewage system required to be created for this water to be put into use by the for domestic consumers. So various treatment facilities. So this is in short water supply system and treatment wastewater treatment facilities, and so and work are currently under progress, and future planning of water supply sources. So now the session is open for the any questions.
Thank you, sir. That was a very informative session that we had. I have a lot of questions, but looking at the time constraint, I will limit myself to just 2. There were a lot of information presented, and it was too much to absorb in such a short time. I have many, but as I said, my main concern with few of the information that you showed was DCR recently said that from 135 liters, the supply would be made to 90 liters per person per day. While in the slide you showed that the amount available per person was 175, but in actual reality, it is from 100 to 400. So that was one question, why, when such a water is available, why this is happening? And pertaining to that question, the second question would be, when we know that we have such an issue where one person is using 400 liters, while the other one is not even getting 20 liters, why is BMC not doing anything about monitoring systems or billing systems or somewhere where, and I think you addressed it in one of the key issues that metering is one of the issues that the BMC is working with. But if the question is so obvious, then why the steps are not taken?
In inequality in distribution is really a major issue actually. And this 100 to 400, this happens because, as I said, the various drawing capacities of the consumer. Because you see, in Island City, for example, if Charles would give water supply 90 LPCD, and if adjoining a few Charles gets redeveloped into a high-rise building, and if their sump is installed into third basement or second basement, so they are drawing water at much higher pressure than the chawls which are getting direct water supply at third floor or fourth floor. And because, as I said, that it's a hydraulics part. I mean, as you have more quantity of water, pressure in the system gets reduced because of the high frictional losses to the pipelines. And because of that, that chawl which was getting 90 LPCD, they will at their cost. I mean, their water supply will reduce because of the pressure in the system gets reduced. Earlier, the system pressure were having 15 pounds to reach the water up to the third floor. If it reduces to 10 pounds or 12 pounds, then the third floor will totally cut off. So they will try to put the booster pumps and suck the water. And obviously, I mean, those who are having the sumps in the ground, in the basements, they will draw the water. And even after water supply hours are over, also the body water also they will continue to draw the body water until the entire water main is empty. So they always draw more quantity of water. And as I said, that this has maintaining the equality in the pressure is difficult in the restricted water supply hours. If supply hours are sufficiently extended, say 8 hours or more actually, so that once the water supply requirement is over of the earlier consumer, then the consumer at the further end or in the back end, they have the chance to get the water. But if supply hours are less, then everybody try to get the water during the restricted supply timings. So that very high peak is created. And this is a complete one thing related to other, because of very high peak, high frictional losses are there, high frictional losses are, low pressures are there, low pressures are there, people try to suck the water, put the booster pumps, get the additional connection, enlarge connection, get the existing connection enlarged. So all that is a part of that cycle. So, and again, in slums, there was an issue of earlier used cutoff dates. I mean, those slums or some dealers which have not a proof of staying before January 81, they are not eligible for water supply. Then that date was extended to January 91. Then it was made 95. Every election year, that date was got extended. So until recently, it was 2001 actually. So those slum dwellers who don't have residing prior to 2001, they are not eligible for water supply. I mean, it is very ridiculous. I mean, you can't say that nobody has come after 2001 into staying in Islam. So those all ill practices started afterwards, presenting false documents or presenting falsified documents, getting connection on somebody else's name, and then if getting the connection approved in the name of eligibility members, and in actually they are drawing members by 150 or 200 members drawing water from that connection. So all those sort of practices started recently only with this audience committee. They have gone to court and they have gone, and the court had ordered that you frame whatever rules you want for the charging them, but you don't want to supply to everybody. So now they're prioritized rules have been reframed, and then it is made available to the everybody. I mean, whoever makes the application will be given the water supply. Still, we give the water supply for the group of 5 hectares because granting water connection to each individual increases the consumption, as well as there is no sanitation facility in the slums. So that all water, wastewater goes into the open drains, and then it creates the sanitation issue. So that 50 connection granted to 50 persons drawing water, water consumed by 150 persons, that also creates that difference in the quantity of water consumed. And yes, there are high consumers because our bylaws itself, if you take the underground storage of 50% of the 40 GB gallons per capita per day, the overhead storage of 11.5 and 50, 20, 25 GPD. Then that total storage itself comes to around 240 LPCD. So in total underground storage and overhead storage itself is 240. So people have the capacity to, if water is available and coming, they can have the storage. And in addition to that, if they have storage within the households also, some loft tanks and other tanks, then that creates additional storage. So people have the storage facilities up to 200 to 200 LPCD. So if they have the water available, they are at close to the feeder main, close to the source. They don't stop at the 150 LPCD there because as I said, the tariffs are not that huge. The tariffs are very low, 5 rupees per kiloliter. I mean, it's and wherever production cost itself is 20 rupees per kiloliter. Is very low tariff even for the planned buildings also. And in society, even that pinch doesn't come directly to the member because society pays the water bill, so member doesn't even know what is the water charges paid for the. So there is no direct pinch of the consumer, and they have the storage facilities available with them. If they are situated close to the source, close to the feeder main, and in the right proper location in the zone where the pressures are high, they draw the water more than their requirements.
Thank you, sir. I would like to open up, if any questions from the audience.
Sir. So I have a lot of questions, but I'll ask only a couple. The water supply lines, the conduits, they come from whether and let us say come to our areas, and they pass through a lot of other jurisdictions
and other agency areas. So does the BMC have to pay a rent or any kind of consideration for using that use?
These are those all lands are acquired eventually. Those are owned position with the service roads passing between the pipelines for the maintenance, operation and maintenance. So that way we don't have to pay any. And even the source which have been developed by the government of Maharashtra, like the Bhasa and Upper Veta and Upper Veta, that also about 70% contribution is given by the municipal corporation. So that water is also available at the concessional rate from those sources to the municipal corporation for the domestic water supply.
And so you just mentioned that it costs about 20 rupees per, yeah, and the revenue generated was 5 rupees. So would it help in terms of this overconsumption if those costs, those revenues were rationalized, that people were charged more and the subsidy component become less, considering the kind of user?
No, actually, you have made a very beautiful provision actually. So every year you work out the O&M cost, and if it is less than 8%, up to 8%, let's say, if it is up to 8%, we can increase the tariff without going into the general body. So earlier, you have to go every time if you want to increase the rate, you have to go to general body. And there is very difficult to get any rate enhancement because every time some election or other always there. So they never used to allow the increase in tariff. But one nice provision has been made that every year you work out the O&M cost. If it is up to 8%, we don't have to go to the general body and we increase the cost up to 8%. And to cover the O&M costs. So now every year you see that water tariffs increase from April and all those things are there. So.
And so one last question, how much is the input from the water department when it comes to the master plan? Like, do you get a say saying that, okay, if you're developing these areas for
example, that unfortunately that they say that it is your how to supply the water, how to bring the water, how to distribute it. We will because that is a fact. Because all these developments which have come up on the hills, see Hiranandani and Rejas also on the Malad Hill and I mean that along highway. Those are not anticipated. Such developments will come on here. This act was formed in 1888. At that time, it was not thought that these developments will come on the hillocks. So those water supply pressures are not that much to cover those localities with the gravity. So whenever such layouts come, we insist for the auxiliary suction tank at the lower level, and that responsibility of pumping water from the auxiliary tank to their secondary tanks and further distribution, that is all with that association, federation, or developer, or whatever it is. So that responsibility we don't take. However, at the same time, for slums, we have taken up that responsibility because we have not anticipated slums also to be proliferated on the hillocks. So all those hills on this Ghatkopar and Kurla, all those, there are many suction tank and pumping schemes that we are operating to build those slums of the hilly region.
Thank you so much, sir, for this section. I'm sure we all learned a lot today. Yeah.
Everyone for that, for your patience. And if the Bridge Studio students from the fifth year for Juice and Kavya's Bridge Studio are here, please wait for continuing your research. Yeah, thank you very much for your patience. It was wonderful to start with the world at large.